Yeah. We have the good part about the YouTube, Facebook people get to watch the in-between the segments and hang out with us, and then it gets edited a bit for the audio.
Yes.
Just the beginnings and end. All right. So. Yeah. We have the good part about all right, you want to Facebook people get to watch the in-between the set. All right. Yeah, I'm almost ready.
Oh, is it Greg? Greg, right?
I usually go with Gregory, but I'm cool with
Okay.
Greg. Doesn't matter.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll go with Gregory.
Gregory.
Oh, Gregory, life's sweetest reward. Does Gregory want to just say a quick prayer to bless us before we turn off your camera?
Sure. We just open our hearts. We open our energy fields. We open our intention, and we embrace all the people who will be here today, but also in the future. And we open up to the invisibility of spirit and the movement of spirit. Thank you, God. Amen.
Amen. All right. Well, now are you ready, Ed?
Yeah.
Okay, so you could mute and turn your camera off and enjoy the next 28 minutes, and we'll bring you in. All right, folks, Ed's just doing the final.
One last little share, and we're good to go.
Are you ready, Ed?
Last bit. And yeah, but did you do this?
Aha!
See, I put it on the
I didn't
script.
even see it. Where is that?
It's at the very top. I mean, we can put it wherever we want, but at least
Can you make
I
it-
remembered it.
I think
Make
you
it
gotta
bigger?
I think you gotta make it.
I think so too. Because I haven't thought about that because we're so used to looking at this. All right. So wait, you didn't actually start recording yet.
All right, folks. Welcome to The Funniest Thing,
Yes.
where each week we share stories about how stepping out boldly always leads to better than expected outcomes.
Yes, it does.
I'm Darrell.
I'm Ed.
And we're broadcasting live from Middle School Studios in beautiful downtown Culver City, the heart of Screenland.
Amen.
And today, it's time to
Get on God's payroll with Reverend Gregory Barrette, which we are very excited about. Most people consider work just another four-letter word that ends in a K. It is generally seen as the penance we do to justify earning our right to have what we desire. Today is the day to break free from this dreadful mental approach toward work and get on God's payroll. Make the switch from seeing your job as your source and means of support. Make the switch from seeing your job as your source and means of support. Begin to realize that God is your support and source, and that your job is merely the current channel. As soon as we stop complaining and treat our career as an exercise in giving love, we begin to succeed beyond our secret hopes. Build your trust in the truth that God is orchestrating things on your behalf while you are busy being an agent of His love. This is the ultimate method of preparing for your promotion. On this episode, Darrell and Ed share how this faith-fueled attitude is akin to having the world's greatest headhunter working on your behalf. And during the second segment, special guest, Unity Minister Gregory Barrette. Well, I'm not sure, is he even still retired, but still going strong out there in Florida. He's going to give us all a raise with today's reading, The Father's Business. And he actually knew Foster McClellan, who wrote that column, as well as Carla McClellan, who we've had on the show.
Well, no, he
before.
knew the wife. He didn't know Foster.
Oh.
He knew the wife. Well,
Oh,
we'll
okay.
find out.
Yeah, we'll
for
find
sure.
out. That's right. He said the funeral for.
Yeah, we'll find out for sure. You got a lot of knees.
Head, shoulders, knees, and toes. All right, so we're talking about getting on God's payroll and doing it right, and stop feeling like you're clinging to your job or whatever that is as if that's the source of your supply, and recognizing that these things are just channels. And when we begin to trust that God is a loving provider, 100% of the time and provides for us the best when we are really following our joy and listening to ourselves and doing what is best for us. I've seen it with my son recently. He made a shift in his job, and miracle after miracle, it's just getting better and better. The other day, and he did some faux work. He didn't do it hastily, but he also didn't linger too long. And it all came together to allow him to shift from having to drive an hour and 15 minutes each way to now he's working 7 minutes from his house. He loves, and the thing is, for some people, his old job was in this like plush area of Orange County, but for him, he didn't like it there. He prefers to have his lunch on the top story of this little studio where he now works with a friend of mine. Sitting on the roof, basically looking out over there. For him, that just speaks to his heart. But the reason I bring that up is because some people think they know better than, what's best for everyone. And they'll be like, well, how could you dare give up all that potential for money and that beautiful, office, But if it's not for you, it doesn't matter. You know what's for you. And if you follow that, God can provide.
Well, that's the bad trap, thinking that this job has potential, so I'm going to suffer for the hope of reaching some sort of opportunity in the distant future. And that could even mean retirement and a pension.
Right.
But that's a horrible way to live, because we're either in heaven or hell right now. Right. I've been so grateful. Since I was introduced to this stuff, I look back, I go, I never really worked a job I didn't like since I started applying this way of living, this way of seeing, and this way of believing.
Yes.
I mean, it's crazy.
Yep.
And if it was not the right fit, even though it had all the benefits and the trappings, it's perfect that they're called trappings.
Yes. Droppings.
Because I was like, no, I can't do this. And I would leave and something even better would turn up.
Yes.
But it's all but the reason it happens that way, because people could listening could go, oh, well, he's just lucky or he's just bragging. But no, my faith that God is my source was the only way I could do it.
Right.
I mean, it actually took faith on my part to be able to live this way.
That's right.
Because the way my mind previously worked was I would fall for the trappings or think, or worse, I thought you can't really expect to have a fun job.
Right.
Like for some reason, fun is something you do that you don't compensated for, or at best, you can't really count on as a career.
Right.
Because some people might find art making or, the creative arts something they love to do. And then, but they hear from the world, well, what's your backup plan?
Right.
And we suggest your backup plan should be your higher power.
Yeah.
And what happens is, with that healthy attitude of trusting that God is the headhunter, God is arranging things on my behalf, and all I need to do is look for a way to meet my needs right now. Like, what's my budget right now? And this is how I've done it since I've learned this stuff. What's my budget? And I remember people go, well, what kind of job are you looking for? When I first came to Hollywood, what kind of job are you looking for? And at that time, I was looking for any job that pays me $10 an hour, I'd say. And funniest thing, I got offered a job, $10 an hour, and lo and behold, without even me knowing it, it ended up being in the field that I came out here to work in the entertainment business.
Right.
I mean, it started off $10 an hour, which was going to meet our budget. Lori was waiting tables at the time. And with my $10 an hour, we'd make our monthly nut for 40 hours a week each. And before I knew it, 6 months later, I was doing the stunt coordinating for miniatures on a Disney movie. How does that happen? Because of the faith in that God is doing it and trusting in that. And Dugan would always say, Darrell, you just have to worry about what you need to do to meet your needs, and God will take care of your desires. And even the meeting your needs, throw that responsibility on God too.
Yeah.
So what did he mean? He meant just become aware of what your needs are, your
Yeah.
basic needs. How
Right.
much will it cost per month to live? And then
Mm-hmm.
and then you deduct, then you just divide that by week and then by 40. So now you know your hourly take home.
Mm-hmm.
And this sounds like, oh, I don't want to do that. Or it sounds, what, elementary?
Right.
But no one does it. I wasn't doing it. But by just doing that and putting it down on paper, going, oh, all I got to make is $10 an hour take home. I mean, mind you, this was 30 years ago.
Right.
But it still holds true today.
Yeah.
It still holds true today that if you just know what that is and you could put it in your God box and people go, what job? I'm looking for the one that's going to pay $10 a day. But in my heart, I knew I was joyful, wondering in what wonderful way God's going to make all this happen. Instead of me trying, how am I going to get my foot in the entertainment business?
Well, that's like my son. He didn't want to be in real estate and finance anymore. And so I just had a friend who has like composes music and stuff. And he does AI and music. And he is just, I've known him for a long time. And then Elliot, my son, just ended up reaching out to him because that guy said, if you know anyone who, or maybe does your son do computer programming, because my son does coding and stuff, just maybe he can do some work for me. But so my son did because of what you shared with me, he said, okay, like I need this much to cover my rent and this much. And it was, it wasn't as much money as he was making, but he was just like, what would I need to do to just get started up here, to get out of this thing? Because it was draining him, it was killing him, all that driving. So anyway, he took the job with my buddy, and my buddy is so ecstatic. He's like, usually when I hire people, I just tell them what to do and they do it. But your son, and because my son's so excited about doing it,
he's being proactive. He's taking initiative beyond the description of the job.
Yeah, he comes in with a plan of how they can do things. And also my son, through other crazy coincidences, has had a past working like in Warner Music. He was an intern through another friend of mine. But all of that past is now, without even realizing it, is coming in. He's able to share stuff with the guy that he's working for now.
Yes.
And that my son thought he was just going to do like coding and maybe like moving furniture, building, I don't know, all kinds of, but this guy's teaching him how to master music.
Yeah.
And so now my son is like, whoa, I'm living my dream. And my son told me, and not only that, he starts at 10 or 11 every day. He lives 7 minutes from the studio. And
but that's how this works.
Exactly.
But if he listened to some well-intentioned people surrounding him, he would have never left that. But because he said, no, this doesn't feel good, I'm leaving this.
Right.
Do you see how this stuff works?
And he said,
incredible.
the other night, he said, it's like he feels it throughout his whole body, how excited he is. And I was just like, well, now you're going to attract even more of whatever it is you need because you feel like that. So, and it's just incredible, man.
This is why we can't stay in positions that feel bad for too long.
Yeah, and
the other thing is waiting for us.
So he's inspiring me because we were so close. And then another coincidence of my cousin riding with me to work and our conversations. So I started going, okay, what's next for me? What am I going to do? Like, and seeing that, like, you got to follow your inspired idea.
Yes.
Because the thing that came from my wife's cousin, who happens to live next door and now happens to work in my school district, he took this job, not even knowing he was going to work down the street from me in Culver City that would allow us to drive together. He took this job just as something to pay some bills, just like you're talking about, but he stumbled into something he loves. He thought because he had worked in a law office, he was going to become like a paralegal, then go to law school. But since our talking and me reinforcing, see, he's all of a sudden like, whoa, I love what I'm doing now, and I'm getting all this positive feedback, and it's so satisfying. So I'm reflecting to him, and he's seeing how important it is for him to follow what feels good for him. Not that thing that you're secretly going to think, now I'm going to be somebody because I'll be a lawyer. And he actually stepped out so boldly, he quit the paralegal courses he was going to take.
Yeah.
And he's just going all in on the thing that he loves instead.
Yes.
And that's re-inspiring me. And again, there's people around that go, yeah, but how's he going to pay his bills?
He's going to pay his bills just fine because
exactly.
of this healthy spirit is going to attract everything he needs. God is the source. These are just channels.
And you know what's crazy is for these naysayers that come up, he's already paying his bills. And that's the craziest thing, you know? And so it's really important to recognize that certain people are just not going to see it, but it doesn't matter. You got to follow your heart. So I've been getting really inspired, and I've been writing a lot of new songs, and one thing's leading to another. Since I'm on God's payroll, the other day I was driving back from the beach because I had some time in my schedule, and I got this idea. Oh, go get a capo, which is something you can adjust the key on your guitar really easily with. That costs $70. The guy showed it to me when I got my guitar fixed. He's like, "This is the best capo ever made." And I was driving by there, and this voice goes, "Why don't you go get the capo?" And I almost said, no. But because I've been living this way, I was like, I heard that voice. Let's go. So I pull in, and little did I know that I got there 3 minutes before the shop opened. And then when I went inside, I ended up, while he was starting up the computer to ring up the capo, I ended up playing some of my songs. These old musicians in there who are just like really down to earth. One guy teaches music, and he happens to also have been like the arranger for the Tonight Show in the past. They're all loving my music. They're talking to me, the musician me.
Yeah, no, they're not looking at you as just some I teach down the street. And they're getting a guitar for my hobby.
That's right. And so they're talking to me about, and everything. They're like, know how it is as a songwriter.
They're talking to you like a colleague.
Yeah, that's
instead
exactly.
of like, okay, he's a
That's
customer.
right. That's right. And so what's crazy is I'm playing on this Martin acoustic, and the guy goes, "Why don't you try that 12-string? We just got it in last night."
Wow.
And so I started playing it, and my mind just goes, "Whoa, I got this thing. I got to get this. It sounds so good."
I'm so glad you got it.
And then I looked down. It was only $329, brand new, and it plugs in electric so I can play it out. And so they were even more stoked when I was like, "You know what? I'll take it." And I woke up the next day so excited to play, like in a way, like even normally I go to the chair and meditate and everything first, but I was like, if I play some songs on that'll get me really supercharged.
Yes.
And the last part I wanted to add to that is when we start opening the floodgates and letting more in, things might come up, areas where we're holding on and holding back and putting our foot on the hose of our good. So some things have come up internally that I'm just like, I'm having to learn to let go, because if I'm gonna let this new stuff in, I gotta let go of the places where I was blocking it in the past.
Yes.
And it's like some people call it chemicalization or whatever, but it's like this opportunity,
Devil's last
ditch, to let go of those old beliefs, walk on faith, and just be even more amazed that I can indeed trust God each step of the way. Because I have these old beliefs like, oh, that's scary, I can't do it. But if I just take the one step, because I'm hearing my intuition telling me, dude, there's nothing wrong with you, just keep going. All of a sudden, something that used to feel so scary and hard doesn't faze me at all. It instantly will evaporate. And the thing, when I meditated this morning, I was meditating, and part of me was like, if this is the fear I got to face, it's worth it, because I know good is coming through. But then I was meditating this morning, and I've been reading Emma Curtis Hopkins again, and I was just telling myself, there's nothing to even face, because only the good is real. This isn't like get yourself all pumped up to like attack this fear. Fear really is false evidence appearing real or rational, but it doesn't exist. That's the whole thing.
Yeah.
There's nothing to face. So it's not about necessarily facing the quote thing it's like facing the part inside you that thinks there's something to fear and letting that go, because only the good is real.
Well, maybe I should read these readings now.
Let's do it.
Or do we do 3 breaths?
I think read.
Okay.
That reading earlier.
Okay,
was super inspiring.
this is I know our guest is going to know who this is. This is from The Dynamic Laws of Prosperity by Catherine Ponder. This is an oldie but goodie, folks. I didn't start with this. It's actually those who can't see us, who are listening. It's a big book, and it's a great one to have because you can open it to any section and read it. And it's also great to read from start to finish, which I used to do I used to call it the Prayer Master instead of the Stairmaster.
Now you wear kiss boots.
But the other one that I started when I was introduced to Catherine Ponder, because I like the little thin books, like the Florence Scovel Shin that we recommend, The Game of Life and How to Play It. And one of Catherine Ponder's thin books that I recommend is The Prospering Power of Love. So that's another good one. But today we're reading from The Dynamic Laws of Prosperity. And this is from the chapter Work, a Mighty Channel for Prosperity. And here we go. Things cannot improve in an outer way until things change in an inner way, because the inner processes of the mind control all the outer experiences of our lives. Nothing can stop you from moving toward your goals mentally. As you ask divine intelligence what next steps you are to take to bring forth your desires, you'll get an answer. We live in a sea of energy and intelligence, according to the scientists, and we have constant access to its benefits if we ask for them. Your ships only come in after you send them out. That means ask and ye shall receive. Many folks, and this is talking about me, all of us, many folks suffer along in the midst of confusion and dissatisfaction because they do not realize that this is a friendly universe filled with supreme intelligence that will lovingly answer their call for guidance if they only ask for it. And then, hang on, your immediate need is therefore to discipline your attitudes and reactions so as to glean the good from your present experiences and to pass beyond them to higher phases of self-expression in satisfying work as soon as possible. In other words, when the pressure of desiring more good is upon you, when dissatisfaction with your present way of life assails you, or when the pressure of financial strain disturbs you, it is then that you are feeling the actual pressure of your talents and abilities, which are straining to express or pass forth through you as richer degrees of success and prosperity. So when we're feeling divine discontent, we're apt to condemn our current circumstances. Instead of doing that, instead of complaining, we should consider it, oh, this means it's time to move on. And all I need to do is ask God for the guidance to give me a sign or clue as to which of my talents need to be expressed.
Yes.
And here it says, a seeking mind is a healthy mind that gets answers to its inquiries, which lead to healthy, progressive, satisfying results. It is much easier to entertain and work with rich, expanded ideas and to experience vital, valuable results than it is to compromise with failure by dwelling upon small ideas and expectations.
Wow.
And this week it dawned on me.
Can I tell you right?
Yeah.
Before you read that, I wrote, because I had just told this to a worried friend, and you just said it. Don't compromise with fear. Keep asking and affirming for the best life has to offer.
Yeah, and you'll get the indication on which way to go. But here's the problem. You know how a lot of people, well, we tend, like when I hear this from people, I would go, because the way it was said, and people go, yeah, I don't fear failure. I have a fear of success. But it never really rings true, like the way they say it.
Right.
So then I got it. For me, you know what? Procrastination is fear of success. Because think about it. I don't procrastinate on anything that I'm ambivalent about. Watching TV, going out to eat,
Right.
Taking the car to the car wash. I'm ambivalent about these things. So I don't procrastinate. But what I do procrastinate on, and I challenge you listeners to do a little take note or a little inventory and see if this isn't true for you. But I have noticed the things I procrastinate on and try to rationalize and justify why I need to put off are always the things that make me feel the best about myself
Yeah.
when I do them. And this can mean taking the next step to liberate myself, which I've done, out of a position or
Yeah.
job that I didn't really, that ran its course.
Right.
I mean, I loved it in the beginning, and then it ran its course,
Yeah.
and it was time for me to move on. And I could have stayed for the benefits, but I knew I can't just stay for the benefits and then 10, 15, 20 years later, like, then I get to be happy.
Right.
Like, Dugan made it clear. This is the guy who was my mentor. He said, you know, Jack, he pointed out a guy that we both knew that was super happy and very well off. And he said, that guy, Jack, is the happiest guy you'll ever meet. And at that time, being new to this, I said, of course he's happy. He's rich. And Dugan said, no, he's not happy because he's rich. He's rich because he's happy. And that's the whole crux of cooperating with God or good.
Yes.
It means when I'm entertaining these derogatory or discordant ideas about my circumstances, I'm not happy and I'm not going to get rich.
That's right.
Because I'm in that state of mind. But if I could, instead of cursing and seeing it as this is my talents pushing, and then we get scared. Oh no, what's that mean? Well, take that fear and turn it on its head like I've make myself do. And this is where discipline comes into the, practice. And it's funny, discipline just means to go in a good way. Isn't that funny? It doesn't mean whipping. It means, come on, let's go in a good way. And Raymond Charles Barker, he says metaphysics is what? Not for
the faint of heart.
the faint of heart. But this is the thing. It's just like the story of Jesus, the esoteric meaning of on the third day, he was resurrected and then ascended to the heavens and was seated on the right side of God. It means if you just stick it out, you'll be resurrected, ascend to heaven, and then be in a position of living with this God power flowing through you, like Ed's son is, like I've done, like Ed's doing, you're doing. So
I like what you're saying too. We can, what's her name? Emma Curtis Hopkins has just got in my head. Like, we have to sort of sit down with our brain and just like logically map this out. Because fear is not our friend. It will pretend that it is, but it's telling us that it is. This is why it is Satan, right? The adverse thoughts that are trying. It's lying. It is saying that if you do the thing you love, something bad's going to happen. If you do the thing that brings you joy, somehow that's going to be bad. It's a lie. So sometimes we got to sit down and think through it, write through it, that can't possibly be true. And it will evaporate into the nothingness from whence it came. This one line from Emma that I just happened to read earlier today, which goes along with what you said, is, mind will certainly demonstrate as much greatness as it has the courage to stand by its intention. It is not so much by what we do as by what we think that we stand by our affirmations or intentions. So we have to stick with them.
And this other thing, think about it. If you're procrastinating, because I'll do it the only time I'm doing it is against things that will definitely make my self-esteem rise. And it could be putting off even vacuuming. I got to get to no, I'm just going to do it.
Yep.
And once I do it, first of all, you realize it only takes about 20 minutes, the thing you're putting off. I feel so good. And then instead of feeling more tired than I was before vacuuming, I feel more alive.
Yeah.
And then this goes true for things, creative endeavors, putting off doing artwork or putting off singing a song.
Right.
I just tell myself, Darrell, all you got to do is just go set up. Mm-hmm. Just prep the paper, and you don't have to do anything else. Like, that's how I'll trick myself.
Yes.
And then as soon as I put myself in that position, already my real self is coming alive.
Yes.
And I'll end up doing something that I'm so thrilled about. I can't even believe that I was
I know.
tired.
Totally.
Another thing to keep in mind that I discovered about this whole idea of procrastination is fear of success, I would often go, well, I'm too depressed right now to draw anything. And I go, wait a minute. Am I too depressed to draw something? Or am I depressed because I haven't been drawing?
Yeah.
And the truth is, just like Catherine Ponder pointed out, is I'm depressed because I haven't been expressing my talents.
Yes. That's
I've
right.
been procrastinating, which is fear of success.
Yep. All right. We'll read this. This is a double Foster day because from Thoughts for a Friend, he says, the need to know. My friend, our essential need is to know that God is all. We need to know that he is standing with us all the time. We need to look away from doubt and fear and know that he is always near. That is what God would have us do. He wants us to lift our thoughts to him, know that we have nothing to fear. When we do this, blessings will appear in our life, answers will flow, and ideas will come. We need to know that God is all, that he loves us, and that he will lead us every step of our way, and that whatever our need is, we can count on him. That's really all we ever need to know.
That goes right into our 3 breaths.
Yes, so we do. Let me just do this and we'll do the breast to get out.
Okay.
Thank you to the Patreon people, patreon.com/funniest thing to contribute to the show. You really make the show amazing. You keep it ad-free.
Ad-free.
We only advertise the truth, which is what this is all about. Sherry and I, Reverend Wayne Manning happened to drop in this week on the Tuesday Patreon. If you do contribute to Patreon, you can be part of the Tuesday Zoom. And Sherry Knight said, we really enjoyed the sharing of 2 great guys because Reverend Wayne Manning happened to stop by, and it was awesome. If you want to send us something, funniest thing, P.O. Box 1312, Culver City, California, 90232. We love getting postcards. We love getting whatever you send us, letters, checks, headbands. We'll take it. Last week's show was called Let Your Love Flow with Janet Prince. Kat Hurst said it was one of her favorite episodes. Great tools and book recommendations. Love the Emmett reading. Keep up the awesome work, guys. And Barbara Weatherman said, great show, guys. And we want to thank Chief Engineer out in Kansas City, Kansas, Jeff Comfort, who takes care of the audio podcast.
When I remember to record it.
Yes, and each week
he takes us
right into the comfort zone.
Now we have our 3 breaths that were inspired by Foster C. McClellan.
Yeah, and I said something to this effect yesterday to Darrell on the way. And we'll take a deep breath to clear our mind. I don't sing along with fear. God is here.
I don't sing along with fear. God is here.
I don't sing along with fear. God is here. Coming up next, Reverend Gregory Barrette gives us all a raise with today's reading, The Father's Business. Thank you for listening to Funniest Thing with Darrell and Ed, live from Middle School Studios in beautiful downtown Culver City, the heart of Screenland.
And now Mr. Barrette can come out of the soundproof room. There he is.
Lay your
From
head
backstage.
on my shoulder. There he is.
So
you have
you
to take
ready?
over, or should we just keep rolling?
I'm ready.
Let's roll. All right, everyone out there in YouTube land, thank you guys for being part of the show. All right, so.
Are you ready?
Yep. Welcome back to Funniest Thing with Darrell and Ed. Today's reminder and title for the show is Get on God's Payroll with the Reverend Gregory Barrette. Gregory, how are you, sir?
I'm doing great, and it's so good to be in your presence and all this good energy and thinking out of the box.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's the ultimate compliment.
Yes.
You radiate truth, you radiate love, you radiate joy, so we're so delighted that you are here with us also. So
Good to be here.
we want to lay some of that truth on us. We know you've been sitting there taking this all in.
Yeah, I'm going to reflect it right back to you, and we're going to hear the words of Foster McClellan.
Oh, perfect.
Is that what I'm supposed to do right now? Foster McClellan time, right?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it.
Let's go right into it.
Yeah.
Whatever our job is, it can be made more interesting, more rewarding, more meaningful if we will take this thought. My only real job is to be about the Father's business. This is God's world. And whatever work we do is God's work. God's work is a way of life. So we should know that in everything we do from this point onward, God will guide us. As we know this for ourselves, we will automatically do our very best. Know too that God will move us to our right job if we are not doing it now. So let's do our work in partnership with Him so that it becomes a way of life, the Father's business.
Oh, and he included that quote. That's part of
Okay,
his
well,
reading.
I
Yeah,
will read
that's in
this.
the book.
Nancy Lee Bell says, say yes to God. He'll lighten your load and send you His light as you follow His road.
Yeah.
Wow.
I want to let our audience know that Gregory Barrette, or Greg Barrette is in the documentary What is New Thought, and you could watch that on any of the apps if you go on your TV set. I know it is for free on Tubi with little commercial interruptions like a normal TV show. But Darrell and Ed highly recommend that documentary for anyone new to this information and you're just curious, like, where does all this stuff Darrell and Ed talk about even come from? Does it even have a history? Or are these guys, just winging it? Or is this new writings or these old writings? So it's good for newcomers and it's great for old timers because it always reinforces my enthusiasm for this stuff, watching that.
That was recorded 10 years ago. He made that film.
Yep, and that's how we met you, was through that.
And also our mutual friend, Kathy Norman.
That's true too. Holy mackerel.
She told me she told you to get in touch with me and you remembered the movie. So all good things came together for the highest good.
You know what's crazy though? We were driving up to watch Kathy speak in Santa Barbara. I was in the passenger seat. We listened to your part of that movie. We called Kathy, and it was just the funniest thing. Like somehow we mentioned you, and then boom, 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 all the lights went on, and here we are. So it's amazing. It's amazing.
Now, I've known Kathy since the year 1989.
Holy moly.
And then her mother, Nancy, I hired as associate minister before I moved to Albuquerque. We worked together for 5 years. Kathy was there. She was involved in the church very heavily. But Kathy has been in and out of my life as one of my closest friends. She's great. And Nancy too. And of course, Nancy passed recently.
I know.
Yep. I was just thanking her the last couple of days because some of the things she taught me, and I always feel her presence when I tap into it. So, yeah, she's still cheering us on, no doubt.
So now after listening to us ramble on for 28 plus minutes, has anything come up for you, or do you have anything you want to expound on this topic of getting on God's payroll? I'm sure you got some stuff up your sleeve.
Well, guess who put me on God's payroll? It's Foster McClellan's daughter. We've been reading Foster McClellan.
Yes.
And Carla McClellan was the board president of Unity of Overland Park, which had been built from a very small church to a mega church by a wonderful Unity minister, a heart-centered, feeling-centered minister named Mary Omwake. I don't know if you knew Mary Omwake, but she was an icon. She was fantastic. And Carla was her board president. And after Mary stepped away, Carla called me up and she said, we need you to come and apply to be our minister. And I knew that church well. I'd spoken in it maybe a half dozen times. I knew Mary well, and I knew that I was absolutely not the right minister for that church.
What state was that in before you go on?
Overland Park, Kansas.
Okay.
So it's suburban Kansas City. And it was this incredible church. But Mary was my polar opposite. At that time in my development, and this was 25 years ago, was very intellectual, very cognitive. Um, let's just put it in the words of my spiritual teacher at the time, Jane Hart, who wrote this book, Spiritual Power Tools. When she first met with me, she said, "You've got a concrete wall around your heart, and we got to take it down."
Wow.
So I get this call from Carla McClellan asking me to come in and be the minister of this church, where I knew I would sink like a stone, because what those people were used to, I didn't provide. And what I was providing, they weren't looking for. And I
Right.
just knew it wasn't a good fit at all. But in the meantime, again, this author, Jane Hart, was an executive at Unity headquarters, a middle level executive. And she knew there was an opening as the minister of Unity Village Chapel. And I told Carla McClellan, "No, I'm sorry, it wouldn't be a good fit, but thank you so much. I'm so honored, blah, 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 blah." But this other church, I thought that would really work. And I would get to be with my teacher. It would be the best possible experience. I go in, the interview was fantastic. The tryout was wonderful. The executive who was in charge overseeing the chapel told me, "This is your church. You're going to get the job. It's wonderful." And in the meantime, Carla McClellan called again. She said, "Are you sure you don't want to be our minister? We really think this would be a good thing." "No, no, thank you. I'm guided to go do this other thing, but this wouldn't be a good fit." So weeks go on and they're not making a decision. But the executive says, "No, no, this is going to happen. This is going to happen." I get 4 telephone calls from Unity of Overland Park, 3 of which were from Carla McClellan. One was from the interim minister, whom I'd known for years, and he'd known the work I'd done in other churches. So, he was trying to, and they were really campaigning, and I was saying no. In the meantime, this thing kept dragging out and dragging out and dragging out. And I kind of knew why. There were some things behind the scenes, but the executive who was in charge of the whole thing kept saying, "No, no, just be patient, just be patient." Finally, I found myself at Unity Village. I was recording something. I get a phone call from this very executive. Coincidentally, I'm right there in a hotel room. Uh, I answer the phone. He tells me, "I am so sorry, but they've decided to go another direction." And I'm very shocked, because I felt this was just the absolute right thing. I mean, it was perfect. Everything went so well. As soon as I got off the phone from him, guess who called me? I mean, at that minute, Carla McClellan. And she said, "I know this is the 5th time, but would you consider coming in here?" And I said, "Yes, absolutely, I would consider it," because at that point, it was like, okay, there's something else going on here.
Yes.
It says right in this quote, it says that whatever work we do is God's work, but know that God will move us to our right job if we're not doing it now. And if what we think is our right job, because I had it all figured out
Yes.
and I was moved over to this other thing, but that's not the end of the story. In the meantime, because I'd said no all these times, Carla McClellan they had another candidate who was perfect for the church. Did you ever know Richard Levy?
No, but why? I know that name for
He's a
some reason.
very close friend with Kathy Norman, one of the greatest Unity ministers ever, totally heart-spaced, heart-centered guy. He would have been perfect for that church. And so, and not only that, but Mary Omwick, the former minister, got the old board together, had a banquet at her home, told them that her divine guidance was that you need to hire Richard Levy. I mean, I knew this was what's going on here. I'm supposed to go to this church. This is weird.
Right.
Carla's called me 5 times. Well, I go home that day thinking this is not going to work out. Richard Levy's going to get this church. And I see a drawer in an old antique that I had fixed years before. Opened up the drawer. There's a little micro cassette tape and I had an old micro cassette player, and I put it in, turned it on, and I heard my voice saying, "You are going to replace Mary Omwick as the minister of Unity of Overland Park." I had recorded that 10 years earlier, and
And
I had not
forgot.
remembered it at all. And it was my voice. I have no idea.
Whoa.
I was in a state of deep meditation, but I thought there's no way this is going to happen. Anyway, that week, Richard Levy's wife, who was a midwife, found out the state of Kansas would not allow her to be a midwife in doing home births because of the state laws. And she said, you got to withdraw your name. And I ended up going there. But that's where the adventure began, because I came into a situation that made me grow in a direction I didn't want to or feel comfortable in growing in. I was such an intellectual. I was so mental. That was who I thought I was.
Yeah.
And I had to open my heart. I had a congregation that would not tolerate intellectual Greg. And I give my talks, and I remember the number one positive thing anyone would say to me, and I didn't get a lot of positive feedback, was, your talks are so well organized. Imagine that. So that's, ouch. Then Easter came. I'd only been there a few weeks. Easter came, and I locked my notes between services in my office, and the key, the hide key, was missing. The assistant was in her car. She had turned off her cell phone. The facilities director, who had the extra key, was down at Home Depot. I was sunk. How do I not give a talk without my intellectual notes?
Yes.
And 5 minutes before, somebody came up on the platform and said, this guy down here in the first row, he is a locksmith. He'll get it open for you. Turns out he didn't like my talks, and he said, no, I will not open up your door.
Wow.
I got up and I just spoke from my heart. I got a standing ovation. Everything shifted. Not to say, I mean, it wasn't all, but it was like, it was like, oh my gosh. And it began my journey of opening my heart more and more and more. But I went out to brunch that right after that service with Jane Hart, the author of this book. And I said, thank God I'll never have to do that again. She says, oh no, you're going to do that every Sunday for the rest of your career. And I did. And it was, and I'll tell you, I never got used to it. It was always, and then always what needed to be.
Yeah.
I would prepare. Now you got to prepare. You guys work real hard to prepare, but you're not doing it rote. You're doing it from your hearts. And so what this quote is saying is that we get moved to what we need, not what we want. And Carla McClellan, Foster's daughter, was the huge part of that.
This is, that whole story is like a Disney movie of the minister who's the intellect, and the whole story of the job and this, and then his notes are locked, but he's forced to do it, and it turns out to be the best thing ever.
Yeah.
Don't you love that this is our life when you live this way?
But you don't love it when it's 2 minutes till,
no.
And you know you're going to go up there.
Yes.
And you were talking about situations as well where things aren't comfortable. You're not.
Yeah.
This isn't what other people are telling me I should be doing.
Yes.
And you got to let all that go and trust your higher power.
Yes.
And if you're a soul in evolution, you're about your soul growth, that's going to always take precedence over my comfort, and I'm going to be safe, and I'm going to feel secure.
That's right.
That stuff does not cut it.
That's right.
And it's amazing how, if you're just willing, and I love when I'm in over my head like that. I mean, because it forces me to have to rely 100% on this power. And I'm always impressed with my ability in those situations that I would have never experienced.
Yeah.
And how else do you grow? There's no other way to grow. You got to stretch.
Yeah. So true.
This has turned out to be a great show. I want to grow more with Greg Barrette.
Yes.
Let's get growing.
Yes.
And it's being willing to let go and surrender. And I know we're all in New Thought. We want to program and make it happen and have the vision, but there's a moment where you got to get beyond that.
Yeah.
And that's what Catherine Ponder was talking about. You got to move beyond into the full expression of your creativity.
Yes.
You know, it's amazing you brought this up, because that's what's allowed me to navigate and do different things. And sometimes I'll tell myself, well, you never really stuck any one of these things out. And I go, Darrell, I got to remind myself, no, you wouldn't have enjoyed sticking it out.
Yeah.
And my friend Mike Dugan, who's passed, and he was like, your Jane Hart was my Mike Dugan. And he would always go, Darrell, you got to allow God to have free play in your life. Yes.
Yes.
You can have these desires, write them down, enjoy the idea of them happening. But ultimately, you got to let God have free play in your life. And that now becomes part of the wonderful adventure. Like, I can have these desires and think I know what's best for me, but I still have to allow God, like in your situation, we think we know what's best, but I still have to be willing to go with God. Like, it's like when the magic carpet shows up, don't ask where it's going, just jump on, you know?
Or sometimes you think you're going on this carpet and the rug gets pulled out from under you, and you say,
Yeah.
this isn't what I expected. I was supposed to be at this situation. And then you find yourself in this other situation that looks totally weird to you.
Yes.
Yes.
It's just what your soul needs.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Every time, Greg. Every time.
I opened up this Martha Smock book called Fear Not, Messages of Assurance, and this is part of it too. She says, there is a way to solve the problem that we cannot seem to solve. There's a way to meet the need, which is a source of worry and anxiety to us. We may have been affirming that there is a way. We may have been praying, God, show me the way. Now let us make a leap in faith and know I am the way. When Jesus said, I am the way, the truth, and the life, he was giving us a most important key to overcoming. Are we searching for a way? The way is in us. God in us, the Christ self in us says, I am the way, and I'm becoming the way. That's what I can feel that right now in my own life, because even we bless God, then we got to realize God has got to flow through us to be the way. Like, we are the way, and that's so empowering, right? Like, that I am just like this thing that I think of as me is it can change, and like, who's really saying that's me other than me, right? Like, it can change and grow and expand. And if God's calling me to do, I love what you're saying, because I'm in an exciting place in my life where I'm like, I am the way, God. Let's see where we're going next. I've done a lot in this current situation. Now I'm listening to a part of me that's just been saying, I'm exhausted. I can't do this anymore. I don't want to do this anymore. And I am the way. Let's see where this goes. God is showing me the way now.
And then you got to be open, and you got to mean it. When you say surrender,
Yeah.
There's Catherine Ponder says this or something better.
Yes.
Yeah.
Whatever it is that you got in mind, that's fine to have a starting point.
Yes.
But your intention,
Yes.
your visualization is only the starting point for spirit, not the ending point.
Yeah.
This or something better opens up the door, and I am the way. It stops being a thing that you're asking for. It is who you are manifesting out of your heart.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Oh, I also loved how you said that what's inspiring, I know it was for me, and it is going to be for our listeners, just because we know a lot of our listeners, they've become personal friends almost of the way they reach out to us.
For sure.
Is when you gave everyone, through your real life experience, something that I think we all need to hear. Like, I thought that this was my personality, that was like, this was my groove, this was my niche. And this over here wasn't my niche, but that's okay, because I'm comfortable with this niche, and this is going to be my unique thing. But to be able to let go of that, be able to let go of that and allow ourselves to not become so, because sometimes I'll get regrets because I'll think, well, I was doing this, and it could have led to that. And I go, Darrell, no.
Yep.
That was you at that time.
Right.
But you were growing and evolving. You couldn't stay. It's like some of my friends, some people I know, they developed a style of drawing and illustrating that led to their success early on. And then they to continue with that success, they've maintained drawing in that style. Like, just to make it clear, like Charlie Brown, every time you read Charlie Brown, you expect it to look a certain way, and I couldn't do that. I would do certain style of painting, and it was real. This is what caused me to have regrets recently. And it was really successful. I had shows in New York. I was getting written up in the, New York newspapers, which is a big thing. But I mean, two things were going on. One, I didn't really believe I deserved it at that time in my life either. So I didn't really know how to process it. But also, what I'll tend to do is I'll look back and go, you should have stuck with that. You were this, you could have. And I go, Darrell, no. Do you know how awful it would be for me? I'm not saying this for anyone else, but I know me. If I continue, because I get tired of drawing the same way just for a period of, a series of things I draw. I'm like, okay. And then I stop feeling excited about it. Like when you got up there without your notes, yeah, it's scary, but it's thrilling because we're on the precipice of growth.
Yeah.
And that's what I have to live by now. I can't, draw the same way and paint the same way. I mean, I could, and it would be easy for me because it's ingrained in me, but it wouldn't be life to me. It wouldn't be rewarding to me. Yeah. And that rewarding is part of getting on God's payroll, because that's part of my income is how I feel today. Yes. Instead of doing something like okay, and then I get a paycheck and now I could buy something that makes me feel good. Why not live in the feel good? Yes. And the money will take care of itself, which it always does. The needs are met.
Right.
Yeah. And what happens is that it's the loaves and the fish. If you are coming from that place of your heart, of the soul, of the higher desire of your heart, not to accumulate things, but to grow and to expand your consciousness, then what you have in front of you, even though it looks like a lesser situation materially, will always expand. I remember when I was there with Kathy and Nancy Norman in Delray Beach, Florida, and that church opened up in Albuquerque, and I knew I was supposed to go there. I took a 4/5 pay cut, even though it was going so well. It was burgeoning. And then Nancy ended up there for 30 years because that was her next step. And I couldn't be in the way of her next step, even though I didn't know any of this. And what I went to, I didn't change my lifestyle at all. Yeah. I have no idea how that happened.
Yes.
This stuff is all, what's the word? It's carved in jello. Richard Levy once said, it's all very amorphous, and it'll expand as you need it to expand.
Yes, it does.
Not limited by the material plane.
Oh, no. This is so good.
Yeah, seeing my son live, waking up now, he doesn't have to wake up till 10 or 11, drive 7 minutes. It's like this is like at 22 years old, he has an apartment that he rent. These are huge victories. Now, someone else close to me was like, maybe he should go back to school. I'm like, don't you see? He is winning, right? Like, this is it. Like, he's doing what what I want more of, which is wakes up excited. He being able to wake up at that time, it's making his heart sing. And that's just such a good reminder that's such a huge part, like you said, of the income. Like me writing songs again and doing this, it's like, just being able to do what I love and show up at a guitar store and then talk with one of the guys was the old arranger from the Tonight Show. And we're chopping it up. He's like, you know how it is in the industry, right, buddy? It's just me being me, talking to other people. We're all weirdos in this thing with music. And there's no better feeling in the world, man. I've been loving this idea of being weird and loving the weirdness of life. I was encouraging one of my students the other day because he was telling his mom, everyone thinks I'm weird and they don't like me. And I was like, there would be no cool stuff if there were no weird people. I was like, all those Jurassic Park movies you love, they wouldn't exist. All that stuff. So be weird. I said, my wife used to call me weird and I used to kind of not take it well. Now I've embraced it and I'm happier than I have ever been. And we even learned that weird is about the real meaning of it is about like divine destiny. It's not about bad or odd. It's someone who's willing to follow that inner guidance. So it's all weirder than we think.
Embrace your inner weirdo.
Yeah, and that's a good thing. I wrote a song. It's weirder than you think, and that's a good thing.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
You know, I'm just excited to I want Greg to keep coming back on the show.
I know. You're amazing.
Oh, thank you. I won't bring any notes though. And I won't be organized real well.
Hey, we used to call this, I used to call it, because I saw it at meetings in my work. So we meet for these students and there's this paperwork and you could see the people are like, they weren't about the student. They were about, look how I did the paperwork. And I used to call it giving like a 4th or 5th grade book report because they're making it about, look at me and the paperwork I did. And that's what I've seen with ministers too. Like they think they think this thing is bigger than them and look how well I did it. And it's like, I call it, they're giving a 4th grade book report. I want to hear the Spirit speaking through people in whatever it is, music, teaching. And so and you're doing that. And I love that. I love that.
So we're going to have you back. But before we wrap up, do you have anything else you want to share with us?
Well, you know, everything you just said was that quote from Martha Smock about that affirmation about I am the way. I am the way.
Yeah.
I am the way. And that's the answer.
Yeah.
And there's no separation. It's not something out here. It's right here.
Yeah. Right.
Oh, man, I wish you were closer to Vero Beach because I'm going to be there in 3 weeks. It would be
I'm
great
just
to
here
see
with
in
my
person.
sponges in Tarpon Springs.
There you go.
Well, we're going to
I
see
love
you
that.
again soon.
I love that what you just said too. It just helped me to realize too. It's like when I'm thinking, how's this going to get done? I'm the way through which this is going to get done.
Yes.
I am the way. And all right, this is very, very inspiring for me. So very timely.
We have a story about you from when you were younger. We got from Unity's TMZ.
Yes. I just thought of that song when you said we got to have Greg back. I want to go back and get more of that funky stuff.
What is that song?
It's from people, like Parliament Funkadelic, they would say.
Oh, yeah. George
Yeah,
Clinton.
I want to go back and get more of that funky stuff.
No,
Want to
that
get
funk.
some more of that funky stuff.
What it goes, funk, that funky stuff.
So there's a lot of different, yeah. That's the backup. You need to come in with the backup. All right. After attending a Unity church service one Sunday morning, a young Gregory Barrette suddenly announced to his mother,
Mom, I decided to become a minister when I grow up.
his mom smiled.
That's okay with us, Greg. But what made you decide that?
Greg replied,
Well, I have to go to church on Sunday anyway, and I figure it would be more fun to stand up and yell than to sit and listen.
That actually almost happened when I was 4. I told her, I said, I'm going to do what that lady's doing. And that was my female minister when I was a kid.
wow.
Yeah.
See?
That is crazy. The first
It's
time
crazy.
we got it right.
Yeah, well, Greg, we're going to sing this out, but we want to thank you for joining. Gregory, thank you for joining us, and thank you all for being a part of Funniest Thing with Darrell and Ed. Please subscribe, share the show, like the show, share it with your friends, and hey,
Hey, what's the matter with your head? Yeah.
hey,
Hey, what's the matter with your mind and your signing? Oh, hey,
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 nothing the matter with your head, baby, find it. Come on and find it.
hell
Hell
with it.
with it, baby, because you're fine and you're mine and you look so divine. So
come and get your love. Do-do-do-do-do. Come and get your love.
Come and get your love.
Do-do-do-do-do-do.
Come and get your love. Thank you, everyone.
I think something comes after the O.
No, there's like spaces and they do little runs.
Oh, runs.
I know. They got the runs.
They
Gregory
got the
Barrette,
runs.
have a great day. We love you. God bless you.
We'll see you later. Love ya.